Get out the insurance cards, get out the co-pays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by DrRoto.com.
So let's get to it.
Bring the pain!
What's up, everybody? It's Heat Override, and I'm ready to bring the pain for you and Dr. Roto this week. Ooh, yeah. It seems like I'm a little down. Y'all know that I just had surgery and that I'm kind of feeling like myself, but I'm kind of in an up-down right now. So I wanted to get this out. Of course, this is another Hard Hits review. And I'm going to make this one super duper fast. That's why it's just me just rolling a solo to get through it. I'll talk about the NFL free agency in spots. If you didn't catch it, Dr. Roto went live yesterday talking about that. Also is going to be giving his thoughts. Everybody's giving their thoughts out this entire week. I'm just going to talk about it simply from my point of view and my stats. But let's get to it. We're here to talk about UFC 326, and that was Holloway versus Oliveira for the BMF title. Of course, Charles Bronx Oliveira won that match and is now the BMF champion, and that has pissed everybody off. Right now, the whole world is completely turned upside down because somebody held somebody down, and that doesn't make the BMF title. That's not the true credentials of it. They want a slugfest. Well, so maybe special rules should be made. But until then, this is what we have. It's a made-up belt. Now it's a commodity. And somebody showed you who was a bad mother effer by actually holding somebody down and beating him. But Charles Oliveira did win a few of those hands exchanges as well, too. I knew that he couldn't hang like that. He took him to the ground. He did what he had to do. So this is a live show right now. And of course, I'm going to make sure that I keep it really short and sweet. Let's do the rundown. Overall, I went 8-4 for the card. So I had Luke Fernandez winning. Looked great. Bellato was getting beat down. And all, like we say, one punch, it's over. Bye-bye, Luke Fernandez and my pick. Of course, then, I picked Sumadarji over Jesus Aguilera. Aguilera came through on the DFS side. He was consistent. It could have been a little more consistent. So overall, I'm happy I paid down for him and that he was able to return money and help me return money on that end. I did get that as a win. Of course, I had Tumendendal against Cody Durden. I had him winning, got that win as well. And then I had Alberto Montez against Ricky Tercios, got that win. Dante Johnson against Cody Brundage, got that win. And then, of course, Cody Garbrandt against Zhao Long. All right, now, Cody Garbrandt shouldn't have won this. Everybody that actually watched this fight knows that Cody Garbrandt lost. Unfortunately, Zhao Long could not alter his attacking style. At some point, whatever he changed up late in that match, he just started wailing dude in the nuts. And that led to the whole bucket incident. They're calling it puke gate, whatever they want to call it now. But yeah, I'm just, like I said, that was crazy. But for me, I picked Garbrandt anyway. So I did get the win on that. I did pick Gregor Rodriguez, had that fight going completely under, suggested that, of course, last week's Fight Club of Pain was practically a water, even though we gave out picks, gave out the great plays. We'll get to those plays as well, too. It wasn't as deep as it normally could be because I didn't have a lot of my bets to go off of last week when I was planning for the show, trying to get everything done because of the surgery on Thursday. So that being said, of course, I did take a loss with Michael Johnson. I just knew Drew Dober was going to get that fight done, but I had that fight going under, had the knockouts before they cut the betting market on that. Of course, everybody knew Raul Rosas Jr. was going to take it to the edge. He's going to do his thing, wrestle it up, get some points. I didn't go, even though I love RDR, and RDR actually looked all good. He looked good. He made a statement for that match, but no matter what, the Fighting Nerds Caio Bravo held through, got me that pick, got that win. And then, of course, I had Rafael Tobias over Jair Nurgaze earlier. I did not bring that up because it was something I added later into my card. Of course, I knew I should win Nurgaze, but I did not. So that was a loss. And, of course, I picked Max Holloway, lost 8-4 overall for the entire card. Now, of course, a lot of my bets were placed before my surgery on what I kind of went into the subs only just for like fantastic picks article this week. I've actually already got half of the DFS portion and the write-up portion for the fantastic picks. All of my notes are done because all I'm doing is laying around. So I'm literally just watching fight tape. So that's kind of the thing. And this was hard pressed to get this done right now. I kind of wanted to get it done. I'm moving at a good pace right now, and I actually got the readout good. So overall, on fan DK was around. I scored 652 points on DK for my highest DK lineup. I scored 652 was the top. That was first place on DK. I said that wrong. Scoring was around 400. And then on FanDuel, 666 was about first and second. 370 was money line. I was above both of those. I ended up going 1 and 3 on both sites, which wasn't bad because the one ended up covering both three again. I didn't play a lot, and when they ended up, when they ended up removing Jin Yong Lee in the Ballas in those fight, I was already on Lee on a couple things. So when I moved it off it, I had to move those lines, and I was too jacked up after surgery to be dealing with any of that. So of course that's why everything was in the subs only Discord at Dr. Roto prior to the event, prior to my surgery. You had that Wednesday, people. But if you didn't, and you were looking for the Fight Club of Pain, of course, I had that aired on that. Overall, I went 2-2 for the show. Dan went 0-4. It was just upsets were kind of in the differences. There kind of just wasn't some things that we were on the same. Now, the Parlay of Pain did have a voided leg because of Ji Yong Lee being voided. So that only put 4 bets in for the Parlay of Pain. And I went 2-2, hit on both money lines. Distant and Snow on Holloway did not follow through. Aguilar, I thought that fight would go under, but I did have Aguilar winning. He did okay, did not win that fight. It was a chance. It made it up 2-2, still returned. I returned 80% of my money for the Parlay of Pain. Because sometimes when there's a void, it kind of still counts the money. So it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to say anything. But there's just some things I've noticed. The 5 Tastic picks in the subs only Discord, which actually returned 135% of my money. Went 3-2. Just thinks what could have happened if I could have got those 2 wins. A lot more. The money line parlay went 4-1. So again, those were all on key. Let's go DFS numbers. We'll get into NFL trade talk. Everybody, that's what we're doing here, getting it going. Oliveira was actually kind of cool because, on DK, he was 30%, but on FanDuel, he was around 17%. You got it. But Kyle Barallo was the slate breaker. To me, 16% on DraftKings, 14% on FanDuel. Perfect. RDR, 28 on DraftKings, 16 on FanDuel. That FanDuel 16%, that was still worth it. He was one of the cheapest fighters. So therefore, I'm going to take that. He went the distance, and he got enough control time and strikes to make himself relevant. Johnson, however, was 46%. That's Sante Johnson, was 46% owned on DraftKings, 63 on FanDuel. FanDuel was definitely pulling the Johnson due to pricing. Aguilera was 23 and 23 on both sites. That was just pretty. I love that. Montez, however, 30%, 34%. He actually did work out. That play was an amazing play. Had him got. Now, I'm not going to even say this guy's name because I've been under two men dendrol. Whatever you want to call it. He was around 40% on both sites. Gregory Rodriguez was 33% on DraftKings, 47% on FanDuel. Drew Dober was 28 on DraftKings, 25 on FanDuel. I go over this every week to show you guys the trends, the things that people are looking at, the things that we called for this show. And then Rosas, of course, was 44% on DraftKings, 34% on FanDuel. Bellotto actually wasn't too bad. 11 on DraftKings, 5% on FanDuel. But now, Fernandez he was 15% and then 36%. And then Holloway was around 74%, showing that. But Sumadarji, 6% owned. I had him on one line. So for me, going only with 3 lineups, I was able to return a little bit. The betting worked out well for me. I was able to cover a lot. Nothing like the big plus 3,500 from last week. But that's it. Another great week. The Fight Club of Pain will be live 7 p.m. this Thursday on the Dr. Roto Network. We are going to be making some changes to the YouTube channel, so look for us to be more active there. And you'll see coming up. Maybe we'll have new graphics and all that good stuff. But let's talk about it, man. So let's give it like first thing that hits off about the NFL draft. Max Crosby to the Ravens. They needed that. They really needed that. But the Ravens still need a receiver to make this team better, I feel. They already lost Charlie Kohler. That's fine. Isaiah Likely's out. Now they're thin at tight end. But now we're going to go back to the Ravens and doing what they do best, playing defense, and that's what they're saying by bringing in Max Crosby. I love the Bills making a DJ Moore move, but I feel that Mike Evans would have been better for this. I feel that DJ Moore gives them the outside threat, the deep threat that they've been looking for. DJ Moore ain't just a world beater all the time, and his tenure at Chicago kind of got left out real fast. So actually, I didn't mind using DJ Moore some weeks, but he didn't do as well as I thought he did, and you could tell that it was time to move on. DJ Moore, he gets in there. He's practically just like a bigger Khalil Shakir, if you know what I mean. So for that being said, we'll move along. I do like the Falcons getting Tua. All right, look, we don't need about Michael Penix. We're not worried. Just give Tua the starting quarterback job in Atlanta, and I can guarantee that Drake London goes to the moon. I mean, there's no other way. We finally have a quarterback that can complete the passes. And this team's defense is going to be nasty. They got all those players coming in that they got from last year, like Jalen Walker, and they're going to perform this year. So you're definitely going to like that right there. I got to say, the Panthers bringing in Jalen Phillips and Devin Lloyd, woo, that is like an IDP heaven. Everybody's going to be sitting here going, oh, who are we going to pick on the IDP side, right? Who going to pick? Well, why don't you wait? Because the Carolina Panthers are going to have some players that are going to be scoring a lot of points. And if their offense doesn't perform as well now that Gallado's somewhere else, we'll get to that, and then it puts their defense on the field, you could be looking at more of what I like to call opportunity for tackles. It's your player put in an opportunity to make a lot of tackles like a bad team, right? He gets to play the whole game. So I really like that. I like what the Panthers are doing. I like what the Panthers were doing defensively last year. This just continues that trend and gives them two players that are solid and can rush the passer and overall produce for the Packers. Now, of course, the Lions had to replace David Montgomery. They did that with Isaiah Pacheco. Great move. Pacheco can take that backup. He was already kind of there anyway, and he's not going to demand that power that mandatory Montgomery's going to do, that he's going to bring. He demanded that he needed those touches, those goal lines, that he physically could do that running back job. Pacheco, nobody cares anymore. So I like that pick, and I love it for Gibbs as well, too, because he really doesn't have any reason to not keep Pacheco off the field other than goal line touchdowns. And even Pacheco wasn't even good at that. So let's not get it twisted, people. Now, I do like the Packers trying to address defense by getting Zaire Franklin. That is a big thing. That's a tackle monster. That's going to shore up their tackling in the middle. They're going to need that because the NFC, we all know that the NFC North got some teams, got some players. I mean, you got Green Bay is going to be sitting there in the thick of things with everybody. You're going to have Minnesota shooting it out. You're going to have Detroit shooting it out. You need somebody that can at least tackle. That's Franklin. That's what he can do, right? Okay, so I will say the Chiefs adding one of my guys, Alohi Gilman. Perfect add for them defensively. That replaces losing Trent McDuffie to the Rams, but also Trent's a different player than Gilman. Gilman is that's coming up that nobody, like Brian Cook. That's who he is. So, you're not going to hear about him, but at the end of the day, you're going to see 6, 7, 8 tackles, maybe an interception here and there. That's a player you catch on the other door and performs for you all season. Great play. But getting Kenneth Walker, I wanted Breece Hall to the Chiefs. Getting Kenneth Walker actually works with this team. The Chiefs have always been a run-heavy team, and Kenneth Walker will get his opportunity in Kansas City as well as Mahomes works that magic. That takes everything off. I'm excited. You got Travis Kelce coming back to solidify that team. They're going to make sure that the offensive line gets solidified as well through the draft and through free agency and making the right moves. You're going to see the Chiefs as a contender. This was a move right there. Now they get Rashee Rice for a whole camp. They get all these players back. They're going to be fine, I swear. And if for some reason they sprinkle in a Tyreek Hill, then we all know it's cooking, right? Raiders, Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean. Could you say that we're going to have a strong defense without saying Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean on your side of the ball? Oh, man. Now, them on top of the Raiders getting their offensive line already intact is spelling that they're going to play hard-nosed defense and even adding Quiddy Pay, too. You lose Max Crosby, but you had 3 players? I'm not saying that Max Crosby singly is better than all 3 players, but if that Max Crosby money freed up these 3 players to be signed, then I'm 100% for these 3 players on my team. These players have been written up on my IDP heats of the week constantly for the last couple of years. Let's get over to the Niners. Mike Evans. I'm a Rams fan. I don't care. That's why we bring in someone like Trent McDuffie, because we needed a corner that can actually go smack people in the mouth and start stopping people while we get back that. We brought in Landman. Our offense is back. We're crazy. But the Niners needed something. They lost everybody. They lost their swagger. Everybody saw that Christian McCaffrey couldn't get it all. It's like the Niners are just that old team again. One injury away, and their whole schematic changes. However, adding Mike Evans, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy is going to have that year that I thought he would have had last year if he did not get injured. He lost a lot of reps and confidence watching Mac Jones perform with his job, his team better than he did last year. That's what happens in the NFL. It's a league of irony. Now, of course, I talked about the Rams getting Trent McDuffie. I love the move for us. We're definitely got something up our sleeves. We have great draft picks. We don't really need anything else, but I still would love to see the Rams add somebody else, maybe at linebacker. I would have liked that Devin Bush, but Devin Bush, of course, did not work out for us. He, of course, left, and he has signed with, where he went today. So that being said, the Jets getting DeMario Davis, love that move. The Jets clearly have said that we're going to play defense this year. Yeah, and that got you everywhere in the last couple of years when your defense was always on the field getting torched because you're horrible at quarterback and you're putting your whole offensive line and everything just bad. And then you can't even use Breece Hall. The fact isn't even about the offense or the quarterback. The fact that you can't use Breece Hall shows that why crappy teams stay shitty. And now you can take that to the bank. The Jets will make all these moves unless they get a quality quarterback back there. They are not going to make any moves this year. They're just going to be good old 13 to 19 games, but always on the losing end because they can't score. In the NFL today, you have to be able to score. It is a schematic game. You must have the defense to score. That's what makes great defenses like the Texans last year stick out. But like the Texans last year, when you lose your top receiver, you can't do anything with a subpar quarterback like CJ Stroud. That's how he played. That's what we're going to call it on Bring the Pain, right? And that's why you get what you get with the Texans. You're just not deep. You got to be deep this year in the NFL. But Steelers, I think honestly, outside of the Raiders just getting all that defense, I think the Steelers addressed everything they needed to. Gainwell gone. You still got Warren. You bring in somebody that's hungry, somebody that feels he was punked and said, I want a shot at a number 1 running back position next year. And that guy is Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle has quietly been on my back-to-back championship team in my dynasty league for one of my dynasty teams. And he's won me the back-to-back championship. He's been a big part of that because he's consistent, right? But now he was forced to be a backup. It didn't work out. Trevor Hubbard came back, took his stuff, and he got mad about it. Got butt mad about it. But that's okay. He deserves it because he's a great player. He's a Pittsburgh Steeler now. Also is Jamel Dean. Jamel Dean is going to work perfectly in the Steelers secondary. The Steelers have everybody they're getting back. They will be fine. They will be, and their defense was injured a lot, and sometimes they put themselves in bad situations. So therefore, when you get a player like Rico Dowdle able to come in and able to take over 20 carries alone, put Jalen Warren in the backup role, third down, where he's more explosive out of, and now you have your offense working because you bring in actually arguably a number 1 receiver, Michael Pittman. You're looking at a guy who has constantly put up over the last couple of years, but for some reason got lost in the sauce with the Jonathan Taylor show in Indianapolis. Now, with all that gone, you look at a DK. DK wants the ball. He doesn't really care about the ball. I really honestly think DK Metcalf is fine with 4 to 7 targets a game. Like, give him 6 to 7. He's happy. I swear he's happy. As long as they're long balls, they catch it and he gets a touchdown, he's good. Somebody like Michael Pittman can work the middle of the field, and that will help out. Also, having Arthur Smith gone and Jonnu Smith no longer running balls out of the backfield, which pissed us all off. It's the Steeler fans and pissed us DFS people off because, who would have saw that coming? Does that. But that puts the actual tight end, Freiermuth, back into conversation of where he should be, which is being the starting tight end for the Steelers, being in most of the sets and taking that thing. The Steelers are back to being simple. Now they're going to probably retain, they're going to bring back Aaron Rodgers now that he has this whole team in front of him. I wouldn't even mind seeing them make a play for Aaron Jones. If they could get Aaron Jones at cheap money, they would be able to run him better out of the third down packages with Aaron Rodgers being a quarterback. Although, because we all know, I've been calling this for years, the Aaron Jones screen, running back wheel out of the backfield has worked for them back in when they were both with the Packers. It will work for them at the Steelers, but I don't know if the Steelers are going to make that play now. They probably could spend that money else places like their offensive line. But I'm going to go with that. And that's practically everything I'm going to cover. I want to make sure everybody, gets to the Fight Club opinion this week. We will be back to a full show. We're only doing UFC Vegas 114, and that's going to be highlighting, of course, Vallejos. And it's going to be one of those matches where like Josh Emmett and Kevin Vallejos are like in two different trajectories right now. You got Emmett's been given all the shots in the world, has worked with some of the best talent, but just loses, right? And then you have Kevin Vallejos, who is kind of undersized, but has that fight in that dog and always shows why that you can never count a small guy out. So, all right, y'all got 20 minutes out of me. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for everybody that stopped by. We're going to get back to this thing. Look for the 5-tastic picks on Saturday. And, of course, the Fight Club of Pain on Thursday at 7 p.m. on the Dr. Roto Network. Get over to Dr. Roto, use code WIN, and you can become our rich friend. Get some of those things. You can get award-winning things. I've been winning at PGA, NASCAR, NBA, and I haven't really played so much NBA because I've been playing a lot of tennis. Right now, I'm probably winning at tennis. I've actually figured out my formula works with tennis, that it works with football, it works with UFC. So I've been kind of experimenting with a lot of these other sports, seeing how they work, seeing how the numbers roll and stuff. Of course, even with me, I scored a really good lineup for my NASCAR lineup, and I had, Joey Logano crash. So I didn't get all those points that I could have got with him, but I was still able to return more than triple of my money. And that's what we teach you at Dr. Roto, is about building your lineup. All right, everybody, have a great day, and always remember to bring the pain. Ooh, yeah.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. Until the next visit, be well and take care.